Hey, it's Clint. Welcome to Sweetcast. I'm doing this as a cell phone video, but frankly, it probably could have or maybe should have been a computer sit down video. But the reason I'm doing it here is because I think variety is the spice of life. That's all it comes down to. I think my channel has been doing better since I've been just varying what kinds of videos I'm doing, and so I want to keep you guys guessing. Anyway, I want to talk about why politics and comics is actually a good thing. I know. I know what you're thinking. I actually had an epiphany just recently. Over the weekend, I spent a lot of time thinking about it. And I think the way that I had been framing it is wrong, is incorrect. And I actually think that politics in comic books are perfectly a-okay. But I'm going to get into some specifics on what currently in comics we don't like. Where I don't like. Anyway, I'll speak for myself. What I don't like in comics right now is politically related, but it's not necessarily politics in comics. And I think this will make sense, and hopefully it'll strike you the way that it struck me. Before we get into it, though, check out Downcast. Check out the mailing list, essentially. So I've got a mailing list, and the link in the description below. Downcast Volume 3 is finished. I'm actually working on the backup story. I think you guys convinced me I'm going to draw it, okay? I'm going to do it. I'm going to finish it. It's not going to be great, but it'll still pitch the idea for a different story. Anyway, I'm just going to do it, and it'll be embarrassing. Anyway, hopefully it'll be inspiring for anybody that wants to draw it. Oh, gosh, I'm nervous. Anyway, so get on the mailing list. Fatal's still live on Indiegogo. Charlie's still working on it really hard. Sorry for the delays, but it will come. It will come. All right, so politics and comics. Here, let me make a point first here. V for Vendetta is often thought of as one of those books that is completely politics. It's very much politics, and if you know Alan Moore, you know that he makes his politics like front, like it's up front of with everything that he does. Okay, and I think everything that he writes, there is not just political elements, but he has an intentional push toward political elements. But when it comes to at least V for Vendetta, this is not my favorite book in the world. I just felt like I should read it because everybody read it, you know? And what's interesting is that the Guy Fawkes mask that V wears, did you know that Guy Fawkes was actually a Catholic? And that Guy Fawkes was, yes, sort of, I guess, raging against the machine. He was pushing back against an authoritarian monarchy that was persecuting and killing Catholics at the time, and in favor of Protestants, right? And, you know, throughout the Middle Ages, you also had the reverse happening too, right? That happened too. But Guy Fawkes in particular was a religious person, and he died because he was executed because he wanted to have religious freedom, essentially, for Catholics. Or I don't know, maybe he wanted Catholicism to be the state religion. Again, I don't know in particular that much about Guy Fawkes, but he was a religious guy. Was he an extremist? I guess, depending on your perspective. So let me rein that in now and say, when it comes to V for Vendetta, I'm asking myself, why is it a Guy Fawkes mask that he's wearing? What is it that is trying to be said here? What is it that Alan Moore is trying to say with this book? Okay? And I would imagine many of us could read this book and we could probably come with different sets of things that we're to learn, that something that Alan Moore wanted to say with this book. Okay? But what he did not say with this book is a set of predetermined, prescribed political stances and points of view that is corporate approved, right? So put this compare this in contrast to what is happening today in comic books that has us so upset. And that is that if you read any comic book and it's turning into TV shows, films, everything now, you're going to hear the same series of lists. It's basically a list of virtues that we all should have, and then they're going to have some vices that we should not have. Racism is bad, this kind of stuff. And it is essentially, it's predetermined. So if you're a writer and you want to say something in your comic book, what you're going to say is something from this list of approved things to say. You're not going to, like, Guy Fawkes, this is the guy that I want people, remember the 5th of November. This is what I want people to, be thinking about whilst I'm writing about, whatever, a political far-right authoritarian existence, with Guy Fawkes here. I would argue that there's a lot more that he's saying here that has not been said before. Having said that, V for Vendetta, like I said, it's not exactly my favorite book all around. So one of the reasons I bring this up is because I watched a little bit of Ethan's stream, I don't know when it was, 2 nights ago, something like that. And he was talking about a conversation he and your boy Zach had on what's the goal? Is the goal to make money in comics, or is it to say something and make art and make a book that stands the test of time? And Ethan was more on the side of, I just want to make something that I can make money off of, and if it's good enough that people will go back to it and read it a second time, then I did a great job. Your boy Zach, on the other hand, is saying, I want to do something that people will look at years from now, something that will last the test of time. Now, to throw my 2 cents in on this topic, I don't make art without having something to say. And that might just be me, but that's because my favorite things to read, I feel like I'm finding something that they're saying, a point that they're making, or maybe I'm too stupid to get what the point is, but I know that there's something there. Those are the kind of books that I love. Now, can you do that? Can you have something to say in Batman, or is Batman just to make money? Well, I would argue that there are quite a few Batman books that have something to say, right? Batman Year One, I pulled this hashed copy out. Look at that thing. Because this is an example of a book that I have read more than once. I've read it more than twice. I've read it, I don't know how many times I've read it, but it's just excellent. It's so good. This is one of the first graphic novels that I got, and I got it from a library sell. But this book had something to say about the heroes and the people that we rely on, even in a fictitious world, that they're very not perfect people. And then it has you conflicted with, are they your heroes? Are these people you should be looking up to? What makes a person a hero? Now, this isn't directly a political story. At least I wouldn't, strike me as one, but it could be in the right set of circumstances, in the right context. It could be. Depends on what the national discussion is, right? So if I were to tell Alan Moore, you can't do this political story, that's a no-no. I think that would be a huge mistake, even though I think I disagree with a lot of the points that or the conclusions that he might come to. I can appreciate the fact that he had a unique way of putting something together, a series of thoughts, and he had something to say that wasn't predetermined by a corporation, which is informed by higher education, that's giving you these set of things that you have to say in art. Certainly, this book was meant to sell. I'm talking about Batman here. Certainly, it was intended to sell copies, right? It was intended to make money. But I've read this book so many times, and I know it's not just me, and it's not because it's, it is putting the art first and foremost. I mean, I don't know what the intention behind it was, but he made something marketable, but he also made something that stood the test of time. And that's because it's just good. And I would argue that he had something interesting and different and unique to say. Alien, this is sort of representing, I guess, Alien as a whole, but the, of the Alien books I've read, this one's pretty great. I like it. Uh, Fantastic book, but what it like it's so simple. It's just a horror. Like what is there to say? You can tell that there is a point and that there's something to be said here, and I think it's a little thing. It's like when you listen to music and it's not like a song that necessarily is speaking about large things, political things. It's about the like a very personal level kind of thing that you can reflect on, and that's actually better because with vulnerability, with horror, with being completely alone, and desperate for survival when survival is impossible. What in that can you relate to, or can you escape with, for a little while? Comics are fantastic, and if I would have picked 3 different books off the shelf, I probably would have liked better even, other books. But the point here is that I don't think politics are the problem. I think politics are actually just great. Sometimes they're fantastic to be the subject matter in a book. What is the major crime is that the art has been removed. They're now approved propaganda pamphlets. That is not something that you can say about V for Vendetta. It's not a series of approved things that Alan Moore had to say. He was saying something unique, and I would argue that even today, he's still saying something unique, even though for me, it still wasn't my favorite book out there. But that is a world difference from what you have now. Our culture is drastically changing. Our culture is so entwined in entertainment, and that's just how we are as a people. But working in entertainment and seeing this happen, seeing entertainment change from an art form to an important, information sharing task, an important tool to get the message out there, to spread the word, to change hearts and minds. If that's your goal, I don't think you're making art at all. I think you're making public service announcements. But yeah, so if you want to make political comics, who knows? Maybe someday I'll want to. But the main thing is you have to have something to say that is not already being said, or you got to find a new way to say it. Like, what new ground can you break? That is what makes comics so great, or like storytelling in general, is that you can actually cover topics in a way that you can't anywhere else. By taking someone's hand and taking them into a fictional world, you can get them to think about a topic in a different way. And hopefully, if you're artful enough, you can get them to wonder why you use this particular medium, why you use the storytelling tools that you did, and what it is that you had to say. And if it takes somebody time to reflect on that and to think about it, then, I mean, what else better is there? That's fantastic. That's what I shoot for. Anyway, so that's my 2 cents on the subject. Let me know what you think, though, especially on art in comics. Is it about making art? Is it about making money? Or why can't it be both? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget that Downcast Volume 3 is coming out soon. I'm really excited about it, guys. I'm getting good. I'm pretty confident. Last time I was a little hesitant. I just wasn't sure about how good it was. But this one, I'm really confident that y'all are gonna like it. So appreciate you for watching me, and I'll see you in the next video.